amazing thing is Allah Ta'ala will not let him leave the dunya before he has given that much donation. If a person says, I'm going to fast X amount of days in the year besides Ramadan. Let's say he makes a niyyah, I'm going to fast Sawm Dawood. One day I will fast, one day I will break the fast. One day I will fast, one day I'll break the fast, except for obviously for the last 15 days of Sha'ban. And Ramadan is fast, we have to fast. If a person makes that intention, then he will be able to achieve it. If a person makes the intention or makes a goal that I want to spend my day reciting 100,000 Astaghfirullah, 10,000 Durood Sharif, 10 juz of the Quran, 3 juz of the Quran. If he makes an intention or if she makes an intention, then reality is Allah will help them, will bring one day that that person is actually doing that. What our weakness is we are heavily influenced and affected by our surrounding. Since our surrounding is usually talking about aspects of dunya, they're talking about money, they're talking about cars, they're talking about houses, they're talking about getting married, they're talking about children's education, they're talking about different things, dunyawi, in terms of dunya. That is why usually even when we think and we plan that we want to make a good intention, we make a good intention, but we cannot stay committed to that intention, we change it again. And it is not our fault, it is our surrounding. Because if we look at the most powerful thing in this dunya, after the power of Allah obviously, that is the power of the environment. If the environment is good, then even a person who doesn't have very good intentions, they will also change. On the other hand, if the environment is not muwafiq, it is not according to the Dini Islamic standards, no matter how pious that person is, that person will not be able to sustain. That is why, if we look very carefully, on one occasion Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam mentions that one of the most neglected months is the month of Sha'ban. One of the most neglected months in the 12 months in the Islamic calendar, he mentioned it was Sha'ban. Then he mentioned that in this month Allah has kept a certain time in which Allah Ta'ala raises the actions, raises the A'mal Nama, the book of deeds of every human. Then he also mentioned that I wish that my A'mal Nama, my book of deeds, are presented before Allah in a condition that I am fasting. So based on this hadith, Aisha radiallahu anha, she mentions that if I were to tell you 1 month in which Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam fasted the most in compared to other months, then she said that I would say it was the month of Sha'ban. And obviously the only month where he never missed a fast was the month of Ramadan. That is also mentioned in the hadith. So if we look at the pious people of the ummah, what would they do when the month of Sha'ban came? Keeping in mind that the Prophet ﷺ himself is saying that this is a neglected month. Again, the root discussion we started from is mindset. If we put our minds to doing something, Allah will make it such that we will be able to achieve it. So the goal today is to put something in our minds, to make some decisions in our minds that will allow us to be more focused so that we could maximize the month of Ramadan. And if we go 1 month back, Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam made the dua, Allahumma barik lana fi Rajab wa Sha'ban. It's supposed to be Rajabin, but because the word Rajab is غير منصرف, so غير منصرف cannot accept the harakat kasra. That's why we say Rajab wa Sha'ban wa ballighna Ramadan. That Allah bless me in the month of Rajab and Sha'ban and allow me to reach Ramadan. This dua again emphasizes that a person wanting to maximize the benefit of Ramadan will never be able to achieve his goal or her goal if they are planning from the beginning of Ramadan. But only that person will be able to achieve the full goal if they start planning from the month of Rajab. And then they also plan in the month of Sha'ban. When the nisf of Sha'ban appears, when the 15th of Sha'ban appears, after that, if a person still does not focus his mind, does not calibrate his life, then there is a high possibility he will lose a large portion of Ramadan. That is why if we look at the actions of the Salaf, the pious predecessors of the Ummah, because remember, the pious predecessors of the Ummah, they emphasized and they focused heavily on the deen, on the akhirah, because they had realized that everything we see with our eyes is fake, and the only thing that is real is the akhirah. Everything we see with our eyes is fake, and everything that is in the akhirah is real. Anything that we leave behind will not benefit us. Anything we take with us will benefit us. And we cannot take tangible things. We can usually take intangible things, which is a person will either take good deeds or they will take their sin. The tangible things of gold and silver and cash and stocks and whatever else we see, that is not something a person can take with them. Anyway, there are 4 a'mal that we can see the Salaf of the Ummah focusing on in the month of Sha'ban. How many a'mal? 4 a'mal. The first a'mal was they would change their environment and they would try to find an environment which was more conducive to Islam and Deen, focusing on Deen. So they would spend less time in social circles where they would be gossiping and talking about different topics other than the Quran and the Sunnah and the Deen. So they would disconnect themselves from those social circles and they would connect themselves with the circles where the importance of Quran, the virtues of sadaqah, competition on who can do more Quran, who can do more good deeds, who can spend more in charity, who can fast more. These discussions, because a person needs to boast. As a human nature, we need to boast about something. So we can either boast about dunya or we can boast about deen. So the competitive nature in the Sahaba was boasting about, I wouldn't use the word boasting, I would use the word competing. The word would be competing. Humans by nature, they compete. They're very competitive. If you have this, then I have to get this. If I have this, then you have to get this. But the Sahaba's general mindset was they would compete in regards to deen. If one Sahaba they realized was standing up and praying 4 rakats tahajjud, the other Sahaba would say, you know what, I'm going to do 8 rakats. If one person found out that his friend had memorized 1 surah of the Quran, he would secretly go and memorize 2 surahs of the Quran. If one friend found that one person had given 50% of his wealth in charity, he would go and he would give 100% of his wealth in charity. And we have those stories from the Sahaba over and over again. If it happened once, I would say, chalo, it's a mistake maybe. It just happened once. But if something happens over and over again and we have those stories in front of us, it shows a pattern, it shows a trend, it shows the psychology of the person. How many times did Umar radiallahu anhu compete with his best friend? Who was his best friend? Abu Bakr radiallahu anhu. Abu Bakr, what have you left behind? Abu Bakr says, I have left Allah and His Rasul behind. Oh Umar, what have you left behind? They didn't say, what did you bring? What did you bring with you? He said, what have you left behind? Because even the Prophet ﷺ knew the mindset of his people. Oh Umar, what have you left behind? He said, Ya Rasulullah, I left 50% behind. It was on that occasion, after numerous tries, that Umar radiallahu anhu said that it is not possible to beat Abu Bakr. Rasulullah ﷺ said, who had visited the sick today? Abu Bakr said, Ya Rasulullah, I have. Who has given sadaqah today? Abu Bakr says, Ya Rasulullah, I have. Who has helped someone else today? Ya Rasulullah, I have. Who has commanded good today? Ya Rasulullah, I have. Who has forbidden evil today? Ya Rasulullah, I have. Who has attended a janazah today? Ya Rasulullah, I have. Who used to say this? Abu Bakr radiallahu anhu. Who has taken care? We know the story in the seerah where old woman, no children, no one to take care of her. And there was no nursing home. There was no nurse. So that person is so old and fragile, they cannot even get up from their bed to use the bathroom. So Rasulullah ﷺ does it. Abu Bakr radiallahu anhu does it. Umar radiallahu anhu does it. They go secretly when no one is watching way before Fajr, because they don't want their action to be known by the people. They want to keep their action between them and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. They go so early that no one knows. They go and they clean up the house. Umar radiallahu anhu and thinks that, you know what? I came at 4 a.m. in the morning, and I found that this old lady's house was clean. That means someone before me must have come to clean the house, and they have taken away the reward. So the next day he wakes up 3:30 in the morning. He wakes up 3:30. I'm giving you an approximate time. There was no watch in those days. And then he still goes into the old woman's house to clean the house, and he sees the house is clean again. The woman's clothes is washed. All the filth, all the bathroom number 1, number 2 is gone. Again, he's like, man, who beat me to this? The next day he wakes up at 3 a.m. As he comes into the woman's house, he sees Abu Bakr leaving. As he walks towards the woman's house, he sees Abu Bakr leaving. Again, he says, okay, it's not possible to beat Abu Bakr. Then what time must he have woken when he realized there was no one to help this woman? So let me go and help her in a way that she herself can keep her honor intact in front of society. No one besides Allah knows. Anyway, the objective is our environment will decide whether our mindset will be focused on deen or whether our mindset will focus on dunya. That is why one of the fundamental a'mal that our Salaf used to do was in the month of Ramadan, in the month of Sha'ban, they would detoxify themselves from social circles which were more motivating towards dunya, and they would connect themselves with those social circles which would connect them and motivate them more towards deen. That was one. Number two, they would use this time to clean the heart. Now, cleaning the heart can have two meanings. One meaning of cleaning the heart can be that I have committed lots of sin, so I start making tawbah, oh Allah forgive me, oh Allah forgive me, I will not do this again, I will not do this again. The second is the misunderstanding between people. The misunderstanding between people where two business partners, two relatives, two people who were married before, now they separated, both families now cannot see each other's face. There are so many things because we are social creatures, we live in a society. We make mistakes. Sometimes we make mistakes but we don't apologize on time. Then it builds something in the heart of the other person. And that person holds what we call in English a grudge. They hold a grudge. They say that, okay, I don't like that person says I don't like him. Then because of the love that we have with each other, if my friend doesn't like someone, then I also say, okay, I don't like him too. That's what happened. That's why in Sharia, one of the worst types of sin is riba. One of the worst types of sin is riba, interest, and the other one is ghiba. One of the worst types of sin. One is riba, one is ghiba. For riba, Allah Ta'ala has said that you are waging war against Allah. For riba, Allah has said you are waging war against Allah. If someone wants to wage war against Allah, they should go into interest. Now imagine, is there any person in the history of this world who could fight against Allah and win? So that's one. Number two is ghiba. Why? Because ghiba breaks down the foundation of society, where people love each other and they will do whatever it takes for each other to make each other live good, have no problems. When we start doing ghiba, then it turns upside down. Now we are trying to drag each other down. And it would not have happened if the ghiba did not take place. The only exception to where ghiba is allowed, it's not really ghiba, it's basically, for example, a person goes to the principal's office, they don't do ghiba about their classmate, they present a complaint. There's a difference between ghiba and complaint. Ghiba is I randomly turn towards my friend and I vent my frustration against XYZ person. If it's a lie, it's buhtan. If it's lie, it's buhtan. Buhtan in English is where I say a lie about him. And if it's the truth that I'm speaking, whatever I'm saying about that person, if it's the truth, then it is ghiba. People don't understand. The severity of the sin is in regards to ghiba. When I'm speaking the truth about someone behind his back, imagine if I was lying against someone behind his back, how much more severe the sin would be. Anyway, so this next a'mal of the Salaf was, in the month of Sha'ban, they would start cleaning up their hearts, both in terms of physical sin and the spiritual sin. Sin means that clearing up the heart with each other in regards to any grudges in the heart. All the grudges that was in the heart that was built up over time, that had to be removed. Now, anyone who is a businessman will understand, especially in America, we usually use the tax filing season to do that, is we always do our numbers. We always do our numbers, generally for the business, month, profit, income, loss, whatever, we do it monthly, but we become very, very particular and careful when it comes to tax season, because we know that if it was my own calculation, I make a mistake, so what, I'll cover it next month. But I know if I made a mistake in calculating with Uncle Sam, then this man will come after me and he will charge interest. And if I make a big mistake, it could end up in prison. So a person becomes very, very particular and careful when it comes to filing taxes, and then we do our numbers. Have we ever thought that as a human being, looking at all the examples of the people who are passing away in front of us day by day, So many people, if it was only such that only older people are passing away, it was understandable that, okay, I am not old enough, so maybe I will not die. But when we see that younger people than us, people who had a healthier lifestyle, people who overall look to be stronger than us, when we see these people also leaving this world that we're living in, then it should bring this realization to us that we don't know who's going to be next. Now, if year and year is going and we don't specify a time in the year where we do a proper accounting of our own soul, a proper accounting of our own heart, and we start counting which sins have we committed, which good deeds have we done, what problems I have with anyone in society, what problem does anyone have with me, and I don't specify a time in the year to clean that up, and I let that filth build up, and then suddenly maut comes knocking without giving me time to recoup, to recover, to make tawbah, what is going to be my outcome? That is why the Salaf understood this, that life is very unpredictable. They understood this. That is why it comes in the hadith that أَكْثِرُوا ذِكْرَ هَازِمِ اللَّذَّاتِ, that when you are having conversations or when you are trying to remember something, people remember their past and then they smile. The hadith says أَكْثِرُوا ذِكْرَ هَازِمِ اللَّذَّاتِ, that when you are trying to remember something, constantly try to remember something which brings an end to all the taste. Hazim al-ladhat means it cuts off all the taste, which is basically the hadith is talking about death, because when a person dies, then all the taste of this dunya, whether it's physical comfort, whether it's the comfort of his taste buds, whether it's emotional comfort, everything goes away, everything comes to an end. The hadith says أَكْثِرُوا ذِكْرَ هَازِمِ اللَّذَّاتِ. And then the other hadith says طُوبَى لِمَنْ وُجِدَ فِي صَحِيفَتِهِ إِسْتِغْفَارًا كَثِيرًا, that the most a person with the best luck, the lucky person is the person who finds lots of istighfar in his a'mal nama. Who is the lucky person? Not the person who won the lottery. Because the person who won the lottery, he won a big chunk of haram money. And now to clean up this haram money, it will take his whole life. So this person has, without knowing, has put himself in one of the most difficult situations of the akhirah. So the lucky man is in us, according to the Sharia. The lucky person is not the one who wins the lottery, rather that's the most unlucky man. The lucky man is the one who finds in his a'mal nama, he finds in his book of deeds lots and lots of istighfar, which means he knows that I am a human and I make mistakes, so he keeps on cutting his mistakes by doing istighfar. So anyway, this is a very important aspect, the aspect of making sure that we follow the ways of our Salaf, and we use the month of Ramadan for cleaning up the heart and cleaning up the grudges. Pick up the phone, call the person who you haven't spoken to for 2 years, for 3 years, for 5 years. Call if it's someone who is not a mahram anymore, a non-mahram, we can call their family. We can say, man, it's been a long time. Hope everything is well. Hope you can forgive and forget the past. I have some hadiyah, I want to send some gift to you. Please accept the gift. Sometimes you have to actions way louder than words. I can call a person and say, oh, please forgive me. Or I can send a oud. I can send a very expensive oud and say, brother, this is a gift from me. Take it, please. This is for your family. Send some money. Then years and years of evil and problem will go away overnight. There is a hadith of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam which talks about that the person who maintains family ties, family kinship, Allah Ta'ala gives them a long life. So the ulama explained, what does maintaining family ties have to do with long life? It's very simple. Imagine I have a brother, a sister, a cousin who lives somewhere in the poorer parts of the world. And every month, on the first of the month, I send them $100, $200, $300. Then guess what? Every month, on the 29th of the month, he will call me. Or she will call me and say, Bhai, how are you doing? How is your family? You know how much dua I made for your kids. I went to the Imam Sahib and I, took lots of khichdi and I gave to the whole community with the intention Allah should give you the reward. It happens or it doesn't happen. So the physically I'm maintaining ties, I'm giving them some monthly hadiyah, but in the back end, how much dua this person is making, and he's making dua, oh Allah, keep him alive longer than me so that he can keep on sending me something monthly. So whether I want to die or not doesn't matter anymore. That other person makes sure I cannot die. This is very interesting. We don't understand how sadaqah works. This is how sadaqah works. We say that sadaqah will turn away the fire of Jahannam. It turns away, it cools down the wrath of Allah Ta'ala. Why? Because the person you're giving sadaqah to is saying, oh Allah, make sure this guy is good. This guy has to be good. You take care of this guy. And this man who's saying dua is a poor man, a man who doesn't have any haram income. His dua is accepted. Anyway, in the month of Sha'ban, the third thing our Salaf would do is they would focus on reciting the Quran. Many of us, we learned Quran when we were very young, and then we never polished our tajweed. Alhamdulillah, it's a very big mercy and rahmat of Allah that Allah has made this masjid such that every building you see, that building, this building, top floor, bottom floor, even the basement, Quran is being recited and learned here every single day, including the weekends also. I think on Saturday we have classes as well. Every day there's not one, there's hundreds of children, hundreds of youth who are sitting here learning the Quran every day. If I say that I don't know who to ask and you can ask your own child to teach you Quran. If they're coming to Muhammadi Masjid Maktab or the Hifz program, then they all have good Quran. And that is what we do. We test them, we test the ustads, we test the students, we train the teachers, making sure that, you know what, the outcome has to be good. These kids have to learn the Quran, they have to learn the foundation of Islam. They have to apply Islam into their lives. So my respected brothers and elders and sisters, make sure that we have these 26 days left, right? Today is the 4th of Sha'ban. Make sure before Ramadan comes in, we once again fix our tongue and try to improve our reciting of the Quran. Everything is muscles. If you go to the gym today, you cannot lift up 50 kilos. But go to the gym for 1 month, you can maybe lift 55, 60 kilos, right? Why? Because it takes, everything is habit. It takes toning before your muscles can take more. It takes toning of our spiritual body before our bodies can do more in the month of Ramadan. This is why the Sha'ban is the training. And also, fasting. Rasulullah SAW fasted the most, so if we can start with the qadha fast. This is very, very important, my brothers and sisters. Especially for our mothers. We know that there's 7 to 10 days of the month where they cannot perform salah and they cannot fast. But they don't have to repeat the salah, but they have to repeat the fast. Aisha radiallahu anha said that the Prophet ﷺ told us we don't need to repeat the salah for those 7 to 10 days, but we need to make up the fast. Which means that if we have mothers and sisters who have not fasted 10 days of last Ramadan or 7 days, then they should make up those fasts before the next Ramadan starts. Why? Because the more we pen, the more we delay, the more we have a bottleneck, the more we have trouble. If our death comes, then we have a big problem. Then we are putting our family in a problem by forcing them to pay fidya on our behalf. Why become a person who puts loads on other people? So may Allah Ta'ala give us tawfiq. I'll finish off by saying there are few major sins. Okay, inshallah, I'll talk about those major sins when we are doing the donation boxes. But there are few major sins. If a person commits them, Allah Ta'ala will not forgive them in the month of Sha'ban. So I will talk about it in a bit, inshallah. May Allah Ta'ala give us tawfiq to understand whatever has been discussed and make amal, inshallah. So if the brothers can stand up, and please don't start your sunnah yet. Just stand up for 30 seconds. If there's any space in between, just ask the person behind you to come up, inshallah. That way we'll make space for the brothers who are standing in the lobby. And Allah is so Rahman and Rahim that when we make space for one of our Muslim brothers, Allah will make space for us in the Akhirah as well. So He'll give us maqam in Jannah just by making space for someone else. So inshallah, please just move up. If you find any space in the front, move up and fill up that space before starting your sunnah. Jazakumullah khairan.